Now, as you're all getting used to, we are revolving or evolving or whatever you want to put it as for the panel. We have Nikki with us tonight, and Nikki comes to us with a different hot topic for this evening, and that's about, I guess, production values being skimped on for the support bands versus the headline band, which we have kind of discussed in the past, but because I have a new opinion on this, I'd like to get a new, fresh perspective. So, Nikki, give us why this came about and what your thoughts are on the whole thing.
All right, so Jimmy, you actually inspired this.
Oh, so
Here we go.
So I heard.
So you heard. Long story short, I went and saw Papa Roach and they were brilliant. The support act was a band I was already familiar with called the Ugly Kings.
They're good.
Yeah.
So good.
They're really good.
And they killed it. And while I was at the gig, I sent a snap to a few of these guys of the Ugly Kings on stage going, man, these guys are just killing it. And Jimmy's like, man, how good does that look?
Yeah, it looked unreal.
It did.
Lighting-wise.
It did. It sounded amazing. It looked amazing. And it got me thinking about some of the gigs as a punter I've been to in the last year, where I absolutely appreciate and understand the headline act is the headliner and they're special and they absolutely should be. But I have noticed in some of the gigs, they hold back with any sound or lighting. I won't say any sound, that's a stupid statement. They hold back on the sound and definitely the lighting and effects, 100% for the support acts. And as a punter, it's like you want to see every band shine. Like, so I don't understand if that's like a band call or a venue call or...
Are you talking about like local acts?
I am, yes.
Okay.
I'm specifically talking local gigs.
There are...
where you might have like 4 or 5 bands on the bill.
To clarify that for you, there are instances where we've known for a fact that the headline band has been given substantially preferential treatment in both those regards to the to the support bands. Yeah.
So... I understand that the headline act needs to stand out and I'm totally fine with that, but it's all, I won't say they sabotage the other bands, but the quality, and I specifically mean with sound really, I don't know, it doesn't seem fair, and as a punter you want to see every band at their best possible environment, and I don't understand why it happens.
Well, there is one band that I can mention that says every time I've played with them, I'm specifically talking about Brad Maher here, right? Every time that I've ever done a gig with him, he always says, here's the lighting dude that's doing the lights for us. You pay like $40 or whatever and he'll do you as well.
Good.
Right? And he actually wants the support bands to be looking good too because it's helping the overall environment.
Awesome.
Brad's a good egg.
So Brad does shit like that, but there are other bands out there that will go, no, we will bring our own lighting guy and the rest of you bands have got to either organise your own lighting guy or you get just the lights are turned on and there's nothing happening, right? So part of it comes down to cost.
Yeah.
Like because in a local band, you got to pay the mixer and you got to pay, if you then go and hire a lighting guy, you then got to pay him as well. Yeah. And if you're only getting a certain amount of like cents per gig, which is basically what you get these days, you can't really afford to go and hire a kick-ass lighting guy to do your lights for you.
Well, in perspective, the Hard Rock Show paid for light and sound.
Yeah, on our thing. Yeah. So there is like a cost involved, but then again, that comes back to the bands as well and how professional you want to look and how good you want to actually look on stage. And sometimes you got to put in a little bit extra money to get a decent lighting guy out to help you out. But then the other side of the coin is you get a lighting guy who doesn't know any of your music at all, so he doesn't know when to spotlight here or do this here or bring up these bits here because he doesn't know your music because he hasn't heard it. That makes sense, So then you got to try to employ a lighting guy that you can give your music to and get him to understand what you're doing and bring in bits here and there that, you know. So it all adds up and costs money.
Does that translate to the sound though? Because I've noticed it with sound as well.
Oh, no, it does because...
If you're using different sound guys and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah, it depends on who's organising the sound. So, for example, there are certain caveats in place. Is the venue organising the sound? Is the headline band organising the sound, or is everyone responsible for themselves? Okay. If everyone's responsible for themselves, well then it's a free-for-all. Yeah. Like there's no rules in that. If the venue are organising it or the headliner are organising it, then it gets a bit trickier because from a punter's perspective, you want everyone to look and sound as good as each other because in this term of the world, I believe in a completely open and free market. If you're good enough, you'll show it. You shouldn't need extra treatment on your lights or sound to outdo your support bands. If you're that fucking good that you're a headliner, you should be that fucking good. Period. if you're that afraid of competition,
well,
improve your fucking act. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, that's right.
Because then you get better, the punters get a better experience, and the word spreads faster, all that sort of stuff, that it all adds up to good outcome. But the politics, I guess, for lack of a better term, behind it. So I don't agree personally. I'm with you. Like, I want to go to a gig and I want every band to look and sound fan-fucking-tastic. Like, they've got to be on. It's the complete package. When you go to live music, it's not a CD. It's not any of those controlled things that you want. You want to get the real deal.
Yeah.
So the light and the sound, all that stuff is 2/3 of the product, because the band is the final third. What I think happens in this regard is it's usually a breakdown behind the scenes in communication.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say the headline band Papa Roach. They've brought over a sound guy from the States. Yeah. I don't know, but this is a theory. So then Ugly Things are trying to get a sound guy, and this is all hypothetical, this is not naming names, but...
No, because in this instance, they were given the same treatment, and it was brilliant as a punter, because they were on a level playing field.
And it's the same, I've said it before with the Spotify rant and stuff, it's the market determines it, and I think that in a free open market, you should have everyone on the same playing field, so to speak, to be as good or as bad as they actually are. In the real world, though...
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. And so you've got to understand that, for example, at our extravaganza, we had one lighting technician for the whole night, but 2 different sound technicians. Mm-hmm. And so they billed us according to what bands they did and whatever else have you. And the lighting person was sourced for us by the venue. Now, all 3, I should say, did a fantastic job, so we're happy. And all the bands are happy too. So it worked for us.
Yeah.
But... for us as the event organiser, we took that on board to make sure that happened versus the bands being left to do with it themselves. Yeah. Now, bands should, in this context, reach out to make those connections. They should reach out to sound and lighting technicians to get them familiar, because if the sound or lighting individual does not know what you do...
Well, you can't expect them to give
It's going to be fucking hit and miss at best. Yeah. But if they know what you do, know what you're about, get them to come down, because I've dealt with bands, I think Acolyte are one of them, there's a few lines as well that treat the sound and lighting as part of their team.
Oh, they so would.
So they have the same
especially
people.
Especially their presence on stage.
They have the same people do the same gigs all the time. And so they bring them into the core of the organisation, so to speak.
The thing with that is the cost.
It's true.
So that's where it comes down to...
And that's where it comes down to your commitment to your art.
That's exactly right.
Fair enough.
How much you're willing to spend on what you want to do to get somewhere versus... It's a balancing act, though, because cost versus reward, it's not as cut and dried as that. You're not going to guarantee 50 more punters through the door because you've got good sound and light.
That's true.
But I think that what you gain in reputation, if you can afford the outlay, is much better for you overall than if you're just leaving it to chance on the night, if the venue's always doing it. Like, we've been lucky, we've worked with good people in good venues and stuff for us ourselves. We've always had a good experience in this regard, because I don't know if it's because we've got some sort of profile or what, but we've been looked after. So everything we've done, be it venues we've booked or extravaganzas, we've been okay. Everything's come off all right.
Yeah.
It's... for the bands that are starting out and all that sort of stuff, that becomes really, really noticeable. And then for the same time for the big international tours with the support acts. Now, I don't agree, for the record, again, I don't agree with the headline act stipulating or putting things in place that hurt the chances of the support acts to look and sound as good, because again, I said, if you are that good, you will be that good. If you're not, fix it.
And that's happened since day dot. Because Kiss are a classic example of that.
Yep.
You know, they would go to a gig, they'd be supporting someone, and they'd bring their whole pyro and everything, and they'd rock up and put it all on stage, and the headline band would be like, no fucking way, you're not using that, you can't have that, you can only have half the PA, all that sort of shit. And that's gone on since day dot.
We've spoken to bands out of Europe or Northern Ireland and stuff that were supporting bigger touring acts that were not allowed use of foldbacks or decent sound check time and things. And that's, in my opinion, not on, because you can't...
It's bullshit.
You can't cut at the knees the bands that are playing on the same bill as you, because the role of the support act is to warm up the crowd for you, so they have to play their part in the environment. So let's talk about Gypsy with Sebastian Bach. They did a great job warming up the crowd.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The setup was great, the light and sound were good, it all worked, and it made, when Sebastian Bach and his team came out, it made for a fucking great set.
Yeah.
Everything was primed right, which means you've done your job right.
Yeah.
But if you'd have had, no matter how good Gypsy were, if they'd have had shit light and sound to go with that, it would have diminished the experience and not set the tone for the event that the evening was, in my opinion. So that's an example when it goes right. Examples when it go wrong are plenty. Like you were talking about when Kiss were being a support. There's heaps. We were talking, like I was saying before, about that one band. I think the band has folded now that I'm thinking of, but I think they were supporting actually Skid Row.
Yeah, right.
And they were talking about how they were on the tour, but they kept getting ditched with the bus and the loadout, and they were only allowed to sound check it 5 minutes before they went on stage, and then when they got to play, they only had half of the PA and half of the fallback available to them, and they weren't allowed to leave even water on the stage and stuff like, you know. Don't be a fucking diva about your shit. Like I said, if you're good enough, then be good enough. Step up to the plate and perform to the standard that people are paying you to fucking see. Because at the end of the day, the headline or the top name on that bill is what people are paying for. The rest down from there sort of peters out a bit. But the flip side of that is that the bands want to control their own destiny, which they should do.
Yep.
Correct.
Put in the extra money, the extra effort to source the right people at the right cost for what they're trying to accomplish. So it's a bit of a each way, what you're betting each way, you're doing the fucking winner and the place kind of thing when you're backing a horse, so to speak. So you've got to make sure that, in my take, in anything like this, it's control what you can control. So if you can't control it, okay. But even at the fundamental level, when you sign a contract, you can choose to sign or not sign that contract, no matter how good the opportunity is. If it's going to fuck you over, don't do it.
Yeah.
And the flip side again is that if you have the opportunity to bring people in that know your stuff, then do so, because it's going to make you look and sound a lot better, because you're never going to play to that many people at the same time, or maybe not never, but not very often. Like, so if Gypsy had screwed the pooch and fucked it up and things have been terrible, they wouldn't likely get a chance to play to that many people again anytime soon. And this is not, everything went well, but it's whole thing is that if you have an opportunity, make it the very best you can. So I know some bands that rehearse with their sound and light people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that costs them a fuckload.
Yeah.
But they want it to be perfect when they hit the stage.
That's right.
And that's within their control to do so.
Yeah.
So they book their shows, and when they book their shows, they make sure their sound and light people are available to do the same thing, not just the band. So it's an entire team. I personally feel that bands need to do more of that, not less of that.
I agree.
I know it costs.
Totally agree.
But if you're in this, with this day and age where attention is this fucking small...
And the visual medium is so much more important now than what it was. But it's always been important, but even more so now.
But the benefit of this now is, and I'm a big advocate of this, we've had our Spotify rant, but it's all the online world now.
Yeah.
It really is. And I keep banging on about the same fucking thing, but it comes down to, ultimately, if a band records a set that looks and sounds good, they can use that content online.
Yeah. How many people are standing there with their phones live at the gig on Facebook?
You know what bands should do?
Yeah. They are.
They should set up a camera.
Because I do it.
They should set up a camera at the back of the stage to capture the wide shot. Have a lighting and sound guy make it all look and sound great for them, and then reach out to their fan base or look into the event and contact people in the event, or reach out and say who took some footage, send it through to us. We'll cut together a video, learn how to use fucking iMovie, and do that. Like, this is another offshoot now. People are thinking about the money. But if you do it right, you've got yourself an entire library of free, or virtually free footage to cut together to use however you want. You can make a video clip for every fucking song in your library if you wanted to. Like, and this is where, yes, the hot topic is getting a little bit off of topic in the fun, but there's a positive to everything if you look for it. And so if you look and sound as good as you possibly can, the shittest fucking job on an iPhone is still going to come across okay, as long as you've got some decent video and audio, just halfway decent, just fucking $500 at at JB or Good Guys will do it for you. Go and get some entry level stuff. Get a GoPro and a Zoom. Set it at the back, and you're away.
Yeah.
And if you've got the sound and the look, and you perform all right, you've got all the tools you need to go and promote yourself online, which is where everyone is anyway. So I think it's time. You're right that the artists in general, like the headliners, should in no way, shape or form cut off support bands. That the thing you were talking about with Kiss, that should never happen again.
That's huge.
It shouldn't happen again, ever. And the thing we're talking about
still does.
No, it still does, but that's where bands need to step up and go, no, fuck you.
And the other thing is, though, the bands buy onto tours and then the headline band doesn't respect them.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but they're buying on, so why would they respect them?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah.
If someone's paying you to get onto your show, how much respect are you going to show to them?
That's a very valid point.
I know that someone's throwing money at me to get on my show. I'm not going to respect them a whole hell of a lot.
But we'll take the money, though.
Always. but
throw
money at it if you want.
How do you think I'm sitting here, people?
But there's no respect here. But the flip side is that, you know, that's what I take away from it, and that if you can talk about the negatives, but there's always a way to turn those negatives into a positive. And you make yourself look and sound as good as you possibly can, capture it, use it to further your career in other avenues, because that's where it all is anyway, in my point of view. And that's, I know I talk about that a lot, but the online world has changed the game. And people need to get more on board with that as opposed to less on board with that, which means controlling your own destiny when it comes to light and sound, when it comes to doing your own show, even as a support band. Yeah. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
what do you reckon?
That's it. Unless anyone else has got anything to add here, we're going to... Nah. What
do you think?
Give us your thoughts in the content or comments or whatever. Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Let us know.
See you later.
Move along.